You finally found the tool that makes the financials easy to explain. The dashboard is clean. It looks solid. This is the meeting you walked into feeling ready. Then comes the question, how does the loan actually get paid down? That's the moment you realize your new dashboard was almost helpful.
He'll say in the beginning that it used to be just spreadsheets. And so he's taken all this and put it into a cloud-based app. You can share some of it with your clients and they can mess around with it a bit. So it's a great program. And it gives you somewhat, not somewhat, it gives you a formula. And so if you can follow that and execute on that, I think you're going to do your clients some great service.
Cool. Okay.
I don't know. Carol, have we met? Thanks for joining us today. Carol's like, oh, no, I'm not talking to you. All right. So let's get started. And the reason why I talk to people in the beginning is I want to know why people are here. What are you hoping to get out of the session? Yeah, no problem, Carol. I'll just mess with you. But I want to make sure I focus on what you're here for, right? Because sometimes I've attended demos in the past and I have in my mind what I'm looking for and then they don't show it, right? So I want to make sure that I kind of focus where people are looking. So I think Scott's right? In the beginning, I was doing a lot of this work myself with clients. And if you don't know anything about me, I built 14 companies. I'm on the faculty of the Graduate School of Banking at the University of Colorado. I built 6 software products, all of them in the banking or small business financial analysis space. And I just live this stuff, right? I do my own consulting. I don't do much of it anymore, but I do kind of stay relevant because, business changes. So I like to take on 1 or 2 clients at a time just to make sure that I'm keeping sharp and I'm bringing stuff back to you. And I think, Scott, you've probably been on meetings where I'm like, I'm working with this company. Here's what's happening today.
Yep,
and
exactly.
I'm sharing with you how I'm solving their problems. So super cool. What I have today is about the app. Today's a demo of the app, but let me explain what we do. In the past, when I built...
sorry to interrupt you. We hit the record button for me.
Oh, did I not? I thought I recorded.
I got it. I got the message. It's recording.
Yeah, it's recording. Yeah. Jeff uses this to train our marketing messages. So it's kind of cool. So I forget where I was at. When I built the Finagraph dashboard or I built Cash Flow Tool, we were a software company with a little bit of education. What I found out is that folks, when they were transitioning from bookkeeping or accounting or taxes, they didn't have a lot of experience with financial analysis, right? It's like, the difference between looking in the rearview mirror and looking out the windshield, right, of the car that you're driving. So that's kind of the thing. And I always call accountants and bookkeepers the best historian a company can have, right? Because they are so focused on the accuracy of the past and making sure that's recorded, with precision, that it's hard to make the shift sometimes to the future, which is unpredictable and not as precise, right? So it goes from, we'll say in tax season, Jeff and I just did a video yesterday. In tax season, it's all about speed. How many of these things can I get out within, before the deadline? And advisory services is slowing down, right? It's not how fast can I get to the solution. It's it's more about how effective I can be with what I'm talking to the person about. And so back in I'm gonna call it BC. Back in BC is before COVID. I feel like my life divided right in half. Like there was a glitch in the matrix that said you lived one life in 2019, you lived another life in 2020. But back then, I was also a proponent of a structured methodology in advisory services or in business consulting. And you guys have probably seen these out there. They go, hey, here is the one true path, or here is the step 1, step 2, step 3, gather the financials, perform this analysis, look for these warning flags, and then present it to the client. And that was kind of the way it was done for 20, 30, 40 years, right? Just ever since McKinsey came up with this type of stuff back in the 70s. But what I noticed is that I was always promoting my own agenda. I was always presenting to the client what I found. Here are the things that I found for you on your behalf. And where that missed is that I was never talking to the client about what they felt, right? I was always solving the problem that I saw, not the problem that they felt. Does that make sense? Jeff, if I say it that way, is that pretty clear?
That's the way we always kind of explain it. It comes across the hardest, man.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where because of that, clients got bored really fast with that type of service. I did. I hired a consultant, consulting team. Two guys came into my office. This is 2007, 2008, right around when the bankers burnt the world down. But 2008, two guys come in my office, and I said, "Hey, listen, I just opened this new restaurant, and I need some help seeing some things and preparing for what's going to happen in 2008 and 9 and 10." And they said, "Well, what do you think's wrong with your business?" And I'm like going, "Hey, I think I've got an inventory control problem. I think that I have a pricing problem. I think that there's some employee morale issues that are happening because traffic in the restaurant's down." I said, "That's what it feels like to me." And so they took my financial statements, interviewed me for about an hour, went back to their office. 2 weeks later, they came back with this 1.5 inch binder and presented to me for an hour what they found, which was exactly what I gave them, right? And then at the end was the problems that I have. Hey, you have an inventory control problem. you've got a pricing problem, but no real solution on what to do next. I mean, wait a second, and at that point in time, for that 1 inch binder, it cost me $2,700. And I don't know about you guys, but to me, $2,700 was a ton of money, back in 2008. I'm like going, damn, I felt like I just wasted my money. And I took that thing and I actually pitched it. I let it sit on my desk for about a year. And finally, I just threw it away because it was just a piece of paper to me. It wasn't actionable. It wasn't anything that I could do. It was all the problems I already knew. So I took that experience and says, when I start consulting others, I'm not going to do that, right? I'm going to stop presenting all of these things and start having a conversation. So in my last book that I wrote last year called Don't Tell Me What to Do, TELL is an acronym for terminate every long lecture, right? And that's the way I want you to think about it, is you're not here to present. You're not here to do pre-work or free work. You're there to engage and have a work session together. Does that make sense? Everybody kind of up to speed on that? I saw Marissa, you joined us. Thanks. What's going on in your world? What's happening? People are like, I didn't think we'd have to talk on these things, Mike.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. What's going on?
Okay. Hi. Yes, I joined a little bit late. I'm sorry, but I'm really interested in learning more about your teaching methods because we do have small business education at my bank, my financial institution. So we're really interested.
Great. What bank you work for?
Lone Star National Bank.
Okay, great. Yeah. So, I teach over at the graduate school banking at the University of Colorado too.
Okay, I didn't know that, but we did have a first cohort end of last year, and we did have one of your colleagues highly recommend you. So very interested in
Very
connecting
cool.
with you.
Very cool. Who was it, Dave?
No. It was Mariette.
Oh, really? Oh, Martinez.
Yes.
Very cool. Yeah, we just did a cohort thing with her in
Yeah.
December. Very cool. Well, good. Great to meet you.
Yes. Nice to meet you too.
Okay. So where I was going to is that when I built Cash Flow Tool and I built, and I built Finagraph, we were a software company with education. And I realized that people weren't used to this type of conversation, weren't used to, helping business owners do better. So this time I have software, but software is the tool, right? It's actually what I'm teaching is how to look at the financial statements a little differently than maybe you have in the past, right? Because I'm a firm believer that when you look at things differently, you see different things, right? If you ever looked at a photograph where you get the foreground and the background, and if you look in the background, it maybe you see something different than in the foreground. Well, that's basically what I'm doing is I kind of look through the face value of the financial statements into really what's happening. And secondly, when I started role playing these techniques, these mathematical techniques that I teach, I realized that people struggled with the conversation. I mean, yesterday I had a conversation with a new member of our community, and she says, I get stuck in the conversation all the time. Because she's been following other programs, and what other programs do is they leave you short. If you've ever done it, you're like going, oh, this spreadsheet is fantastic. I love it. It's awesome. And you go through the spreadsheet and you're like going, there's nothing that's going to escape me. And as soon as you're talking to the client about it, they have a question like, well, how do I pay down the loan? Or what happens if we increase price by 17% or whatever it is? They'll ask you a question that you don't have an answer for because it's not on the spreadsheet. And all of a sudden you feel that feeling. Scott, you ever felt that? You just that sinking feeling that you're like, oh, he knows, I know, I feel like a fraud now. It's that uncomfortable awkwardness between two people because they're looking to you for guidance. And what most people have been trained to do is say, you know what, that's a great question. Let me get back to you. But when you do that to a client, when you say, let me get back to you, you're telling them two things. One, I don't know the answer. I got to go look it up. And two, I'm going to leave you hanging until I figure it out. Right now, all of a sudden, I'm sitting with this emptiness as the client. I'm like, well, if he's got to go look it up, I can go look it up and I'll figure it out today. Right? Because it's a question I had. The whole campaign I've got going this year that we just kicked off, and Jeff, you can add to this if you want, but the whole campaign we kicked off is the Clear Path to Cash is built for that moment. It's built so you don't have to say, I don't know anymore. It's built so you can say, let's work on it together right now. That's a good question. And drop whatever it is, because that is what I call the noise. Every time I start a meeting, every time I have a conversation with somebody, I do a technique called clear the noise. And believe it or not, I did it with all of you today. Scott, did you hear it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Marissa, did you hear it? You don't even know what clear the noise is yet, but I did it with you. Like, hey, what's going on in your world? It sounds like it's just regular conversation, but everybody that comes to a meeting, they have something on their mind. When they sit down in front of you, it's like, oh man, I hope we talk about this today. Well, if you have a big planned presentation and what they want to talk about isn't in the presentation, they're going to be sitting there the whole time, not thinking about what you're saying. They're thinking about how can I get this question in because it doesn't fit into their presentation. So I give my clients the upfront permission to just tell me, like Marissa did. What did Marissa say? Hey, I'm here today because of X, Y, and Z, right? Now I know. Now I know what to work on. I'm not going to go down to another path because she's here looking for, the educational opportunities or the tools that I use and how I teach. Okay. So my philosophy now is to have an education company with a little bit of software instead of a software company with a little bit of education, right? And people go, well, what's the difference? Well, when I ran a restaurant bar, you have to figure out first if you're a restaurant with a bar or if you're a bar with a restaurant. In your mind, when I said that, do you picture two different places? Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, because my expectation of what's inside is different based on if it's a restaurant or if it's a bar. So that's one of the first things I had to do in this company is, am I an education company with software or am I a software company with education? I felt based on the role plays that I needed more education and less software. And what ended up happening is I took all the education and the spreadsheets I was giving people to do the stuff, and it became a big, massive folder of spreadsheets. And guess what's hard to find? The exact tool you're looking for in a big folder of spreadsheets. And you look dumb because you're searching around. Oh, I know it's around here somewhere. I forget what I called it. That's why I built this, because I didn't want to look dumb in front of a client looking for the next thing to do. Okay.
Mike, I think the other thing that I've just standing over here on the outside, I wanted to weigh in was we also heard the feedback of everybody who was joining our demos about the tools they were using and some of their frustrations and how far they would get. So a little bit of that, as well as we also listened to what the market was telling us through their frustrations too. I think that's the other thing that was kind of led you into this direction too, was solving the problems on a larger scale.
Yeah, I think that's right. And it was that dead end that you talked about. oh, I didn't know what to do when we hit this point because it wasn't on their spreadsheet or it wasn't in their program. So here's what I'd like to do. First of all, I sell a membership, not just software. It's a membership in banks. It works a little differently for banks, so we'll have to just have a conversation offline about what I put together for banks. So how I work with about 20, 30 banks around the country. In the chat, Jeff, if you can, you're doing the chat. I just saw the numbers come up.
Yeah,
If you can
I'm dropping stuff in. I put the folks. I just dropped that little YouTube video that Mike was talking about that we did the other day on how we kind of sell our products very easily. So I'm just, as Mike's flowing, I'm dropping stuff in there for you all too.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks, bud. Okay, so this is the software, right? But the membership includes 3 different things because I've bought software in the past and it's like self-help, right? Here, you go figure it out and you go watch YouTube and you go watch all these things. Well, I want to be better than that. So yes, we got whole video courses. In your membership, you got video courses and there's more videos you can watch in a week. Trust me. Right? Just the Wednesdays alone, there's 82 of them because on the Wednesday meetings that I do, it's things that aren't included in the course, right? The course is about the fundamentals, the foundation, the techniques. But then there's other things that you run into, while you're talking to a real person, right? That aren't in the course. But the video courses, you just click on it and it goes right to your video courses, right? So you can kind of go through that, and all of the techniques that are in this here, there's a course for. So you understand the math, and I'm being very transparent how I'm getting the numbers, so you feel confident that the numbers are right and they work. The second thing is this office hours, right? And I'm clicking on that, but this office hours is kind of what you're at today, right? You're at this one here, this 11 o'clock today, but this is a list of how often I'm available to the community. And I try to do it at least 2, 3, 4 times a week, right? Depending on how my schedule is laid out. But these are open invitations to members to come and either learn more about the techniques. I either teach or we role play or we go over real things that are happening. Like some clients will come and go, hey, Mike, I've got a client meeting tomorrow and I'm stuck. I need a strategy. And we'll look at their real situation together and give them a push. So it's like adding me to your team, right? It's in a group setting like this, but usually the groups are, 2 to 15 people, right? It's not like there's 100 people in here. You got to fight for time. Everybody gets a chance to talk. And it's really a cool experience for me to stay connected that way. So you get the app, you get the courses, you get the coaching, all included in the same price. So the Advisor Hub is kind of where everything starts, right? And I want to talk about Ross's situation first, and maybe Scott too. Scott's you're getting started trying to accumulate clients, and here's how I do it, right? I'm going to start off by just having a conversation, and I'm going to clear the noise. And Scott, let's role play that together. You be a client, and I'll be you. And I'll show you how I use this tool to have that very first conversation with somebody that's never talked to me before. Sound fair? All right. Hey, Scott, man, I'm glad you took some time to, spend it with me today, right? Hey, what brings you in? What's going on in your world? What's happening?
Oh, I own a independent coffee shop, and I'm just trying to, think about what to do in the next 2 to 3 years. I've got a son that might be interested in taking over. I've had a couple people come. I own the property. I've had a couple people come and offer just to buy it just for the land. But it's a really community foundation type of spot where people from all over the community come in. So I'm just don't know where to go from here.
Oh, super cool. Hey, tell me more. What are you thinking you want to do? What's the future look like for you?
Probably go down to Florida somewhere, retire.
Yeah, and the son's running the coffee shop?
Yeah.
You got any idea what it's worth?
I did a business evaluation 5 years ago, and it was $1 million something.
Yeah, super cool. Hey, you know what? I know you're here to just kind of see what my services and stuff are, but let's do something different. I got this little tool. It's called just a quick assessment. It kind of just gives me a peek inside your company. And it also give me kind of an estimate of what it's worth. And maybe that's worth your time is kind of to take that, take this little tour. You want to try that instead?
Yeah, let's look. Take a look.
All right. So then I open up this quick assessment from the dashboard. This is where I don't have to set up a company. This isn't, this is just 10 little numbers I'm going to ask from Scott, and it's going to give him more information. Now, here's what's important. Scott, you've been in the course probably longer than I think anybody else on the call. What did you hear in that conversation? There's two techniques specifically I used.
Well, the first is clear the noise.
Clear the noise, right? Hey,
Ask me what's on my mind.
Yep.
Brought
you in here.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I think the second one I heard was you were trying to, provide some type of answer for me by doing this quick assessment.
Yeah. So the second conversation technique I used is called the Explorer. When I say, hey, tell me more about that, right? Because the whole point is to get you to say your words, because then I can work with your words to get you to the place where you want to go. The burning issue, right? So the way I teach this, for Carol and Marissa and Ross, there's about 6 buckets of burning issues that happen in a business. It's profit problems, cash flow, debt, operations. There's going to be education or the future. Which one do you think you presented to me, Scott?
Oh, the future. For sure.
Yeah, definitely. You gave me the future, right? So I said, hey, I know in my quick assessment tool that there is a valuation part. Remember, I'm still trying to sell you that I'm the right person for this job. I didn't present a package. I'm going to give you value in the first 10 minutes, right? How long did it take us to get to this spot?
Minutes,
right? So then I said, okay, well, hey, what's the name of your company? We'll just call it LW Enterprises because it was right there. And I'll say coffee shop, right? Because I've got a complete industry average database in here. Well, you're not manufacturing, but maybe snack beverage bars. These are all manufacturing here. So
yeah. I think maybe like a cafe, or see if that works.
Yeah, we'll just start there.
Okay.
It
doesn't matter.
Yeah, but what you're going to do is use keywords and try to figure out where it is, or you just go to the NAICS thing and look it up that way as well. But we'll just say it's a food service contractor. Now, I'm going to use sample data so we don't go through this, but normally I just say, hey, you can get close. You don't have to tell me exactly. I know we just met. You probably don't want to tell me all your numbers, but you can get close and guess. So I'll do that just so somebody feels comfortable. Or if they're like going, hey, I don't really feel comfortable giving you my numbers yet. I'm just kind of checking out what it is. You can load sample data, right? So you just load the sample data and press analyze my business. And we're going to pretend Scott gave me this data. That's a great coffee shop, 15 million a year. Yeah. That's fantastic. I got to get some different numbers in here. But when you do that, all of a sudden, remember this is sample data. All of a sudden, I give you something right off the bat. I'm saying, hey, I don't know if you knew this or not, but there's like $11 million leaking out of your business. Yeah, just based on what you've told me. Now, let me tell you what this is, right? This is a cash leak map, and it looks for hidden cash inside of any business. Now, normally when you're working with an advisor, you're going to see all of these things in little silos. They're going to give you a dashboard, all that. What they don't do is show you how they're connected. What I'm doing is showing you how your business is connected. Everything kind of begets the other. And the 6 places that cash generally leaks out of a business, 3 of them are what I call cash generating activities. It starts with sales and it's kind of vertically down. We keep subtracting things out till you get to profit. And 3 of them are cash conversion activities. That's kind of a horizontal analysis. How long does it take for money to move through? How long does inventory sit on the shelf? How long does it take you to get paid? How long does it take you to pay? That's kind of how that works, right? So I'm looking at your business 2 different ways with those 10 numbers. And what I'm seeing is that you're doing good in some things and not so good in others, because I'm comparing you to other coffee shops. So in this case, if you're on the middle line is what everybody does. That's the industry average. So everybody that's average, like getting a C in business, is at 0, this black line right here in the middle. Anytime you see a bar that's green and above the line, you're doing better than anybody else. Anytime you see a bar that's red and below the line, you're doing worse. Make sense? So you're doing good in a couple things, right? Sales to assets. What this is saying is you have enough stuff and you're using it pretty well, right? You're selling enough. you don't have a sales problem. You must have traffic coming in all the time, right? $15 million coffee shop.
Yeah.
so
Nonstop.
Yeah, so that's not one of your problems. So let's just set that aside for now. So let's just turn it off. Now, you see what I'm doing? I'm stepping out of role play and I'm going to say, I'm trying to clear the noise for you because all these bars are noise. So I'm clearing the noise and I'm going to get you to focus on the things that I want you to see, right, as your advisor. Now, second thing here is AR days. I mean, you pretty well get paid up front. You might do some catering or something like that. You're a little bit behind on AR days, but you must do some invoicing. And we want to look at the way you invoice and how your customers pay. So that's just part of the problem. Inventory, you keep enough. You must move your inventory pretty fast, right? You're doing pretty good on inventory. So let's just turn off inventory. AP, you're paying your bills not too fast, not too slow, about average. I just keep doing that because that's a good thing. So let's turn that off. Now, your three biggest problems are right here in front of us. And I wouldn't even call operating expense that big a problem comparatively. So let's just kind of set that aside. Some business advisors will say, you want to make more money, you just cut expenses. I'm saying, hold up, you don't have to do that just yet. All right, so let's just turn that off. Now, I see two problems in your business, right? The biggest two problems I see, one is gross profit, and this is about your pricing, right? Either what you're buying your coffee beans and stuff for, or what you're charging the customer, right? When we're working together, I'm going to show you how to fix those two things and put some of that money back in your pocket. And AR days, which we kind of already talked about. So which one do you want to work on first?
I think gross profit would be most interesting.
All right. So when we work together, that's the first thing we're going to do, right? I've got this pricing calculator we're going to go through and price, and I'm going to show you that in a second, what that looks like. But remember, I promised you, hey, you got a future problem. You're trying to figure out what this is worth. And if I scroll down to the bottom, those 10 numbers also gave me kind of an estimate. Now, this isn't an appraisal because you might be sitting next to a landfill, right? Nobody wants. But it's one of those things where I can, determine, how much a business is worth as an estimate. And in this case, it's worth about $7 million today. When you and I work together and we fix the problems I just showed, the pricing and the AR problem, it's going to be worth $35 million. Now, this is weird sample data. It's normally not that, but that's where we ended up with the weirdness we put in. But so not only am I going to put $11 million back in your pocket, but I'm going to make your business worth about $27 million more, right? And of course, these would be different numbers with smaller businesses. So are you ready to work with me? Yeah, and that's how I that's how I close sales, right? My fee is, we'll say $2,500 a month. And for $2,500 a month, we're going to put $11 million back in your pocket over the next year or so. So seemed like a good trade. All right, Ross, did that help? Most people.
Yeah, I was on mute, sorry. Yeah, no, it gives me a better idea of kind of what you offer. Yeah, it's pretty cool to kind of see it laid out like this. So yeah, it could be a benefit.
Yeah, so here's what I do next, right? Because we had a gross profit problem, and we're going to say that, I'm just going to use the demo company data. We're going to say that he has that pricing problem. We think he's priced, differently in the market. So a couple things about this. When I click into a company, the way you put data in here is pretty easy. It creates these periods, like this is a year, this is a quarter. It creates periods for you. All you do is copy and paste information in. So if you come here, paste multiple periods, we'll say, I can just take anything. It doesn't matter if it's QuickBooks, doesn't matter if it's FreshBooks, doesn't matter if it's a spreadsheet, it doesn't matter. I just copy and paste it in there and AI puts it in the right fields, right? I copy the income statement, the balance sheet. This is optional. What it does is it helps AI kind of understand how your reports are set up. I normally don't use it, but some people do. But yeah, these two go in there and then I automatically calculate the cash flow statement for you. And what it does is it produces one of these periods, or if you put multiple years in there, it'll create multiple periods. And it separates out all the operating expense. So we can do cost analysis. It'll separate out what you've spent on that and any debt instruments that you have also, which means we can start doing debt optimization, projects as well. Remember, this tool is about, I can't get caught. I don't want to be in that uncomfortable situation during a conversation. Then if I want to, maybe it's mapped something wrong, you want to map it differently because some people call it inventory, some people call it raw materials, some people misspell inventory and call it inventory. So in order, to make sure that the AI did exactly right, you can always go remap it if you think it's something's wrong or different than what you have. And then of course, I create kind of a clean set of financial statements for you. There's the income statement, the balance sheet, and then I create the cash flow statement based on the balance sheets and income statements that you give me. I create the cash flow statement for you, right? So you got kind of a clean set there if you need them. All right. So once the data's in, that's all you do. You just put the data in, and you don't really have to come back to this anymore. It's just there, right? It's there for you to use in all of the tools. Now, I've got it on the power user setting, right? This is for somebody that knows where all the tools are and what they want to do inside the product. But most people in the beginning aren't power users yet. They don't know where things are. So use the guided. You just switch that off to guided, and you'll see this little tab popped up. And you're like, I don't know what to do next, Mike. Click that tab, and it walks you down. Do this next step. Click on here, right? So we're going to go, and it opened up the tool library. When I clicked on that, it automatically opens up the next step for you. So you don't have to fumble around looking for things, while you're working on it. So if you don't know what to use, you can say, hey, what tool should I use? Or it's recommended. So when I put in data, AI kind of helps present what is the next best step for this client. And we said we were going to pricing just because we did that. So this is 23 different tools that are available inside this product. Remember, you already have this in a lot of ways in spreadsheets. You already have those. But here, I've just made it look like a smartphone, right? Think about it that way. These are just apps on your smartphone, so you don't have to go everywhere to look for them. You don't use every app with every person, just like you won't use every tool with every person, but they're available, right? And you say, hey, I'm in the execution phase. What are available? Or I'm in the identify phase, and you can sort them that way. Or what are just the advisor only tools, right? And it'll just pop up, open the advisor only tools. That's important because your clients, if you give them access, they can get to tactical tools. They can't get to the advisor tools, right? So when I talk about this, there are 23 available, but 9 of them are just for advisors, right? Just for things. And you'll notice they got funny names. These are the techniques that are in my book. Don't be a dumb business owner. Dumb means don't understand my business. These are the techniques I use to maximize cash. All right. So with that, I'm going to go back to all tools again, all tools, and maybe I want to do pricing. I got a search bar there. Well, pricing wasn't available the way I've got it set up right now. Go to guidance, go to my path, and we're looking for the pricing. There we go. There it is, pricing center. So on the pricing center, this is where if I've loaded my products, or if I have a service, or if I'm a contractor, it doesn't matter. We've got ways that we work with all of the businesses that are out there. But I can do this market analysis. You say, remember when I said your prices were too low? This is where I look at everything that you've already put in here. You just copy and paste your list of products that you're either buying or that you're selling. And if it's a SKU, if it's a description, if you know who it's from, it keeps all the stats and tells you what your perfect pricing should be. But if I want to if I want to keep tabs on a competitor, I can always check their website. It just helps me keep up with what my competitors are doing. But let's analyze all these products at once, right? Because this is what I'm charging. $10 for sourdough bread, $20 for a 6x4.
Right.
It's forgetting Christian.
Yeah, there you go. Let's look at a specific location though. If I leave it blank, it's going to look nationwide. But if I put in a zip code, it's going to look in that zip code. Marissa, you got a zip code you want to provide?
78504.
78504. All right, we'll just do 50 miles around there. And I just do search. And what this is going to do is going to take all the products that are listed in here already and look at my competitors or look at what's out there on the market and compare my price to theirs, right? And tell me kind of a scenario or a summary of what I should be doing. And it also proves its source. So here it is. It's analyzing my whole product list. And once it gets there, it will populate, what the results are down below. So once I get to here, it says 100% analyzing. Okay. There we go. All right, so we got 3 of them that were above the market, 1 were below, and here's our sourdough bread. We're charging $10. The average in that area is $3.99. They sell it as low as $1.99. And this says Walmart. This says Reese's. Is Reese's up there?
No, we don't have research. We have Walmart and HEB primarily.
Okay.
And yeah,
Let's look here.
Sprouts.
So if I go to what's Brookshire's, is that up there?
Nope. We're down in the valley.
Got it. So Brookshire's, it must be online then, down the valley. So but they probably couldn't find anything in 50 miles that's listed, but it's going to show you as close as it can get. Like is this Walmart? That's Reese's. And they deliver out somewhere in Texas. And we'll go here, Source Street. And there's Walmart. So you got Walmart. Yeah, you darn sure better have some HEB. Right?
Yeah, HEB all over the place.
Yeah. So, and did you see they are the #1 grocer in America now?
Really? No, I didn't see that, but I
Yeah,
love HEB.
yeah, me too. Me too. Okay, so that's how you can kind of, make sure that you're staying within, in the market, right? You can kind of get some feedback on what where prices are. Now, back to the tool center. One of the things I do is I've got ways you've already seen mining your business for hidden cash. The fast money formula is about optimizing your cash flow conversion cycle, right? So basically, I got all these different company types: inventory, service, contractors, a mix. You can do it all like that way. But what this does is it tells you about how much money you have, your working capital, and then how much you need. A lot of people, can do the working capital calculation, current assets minus current liabilities. But I haven't seen very many advisors that calculate up what people need. And like in Marissa's case, people will come in all the time, I'm guessing, and they say, "Hey, I need a loan." And Marissa goes, "Okay, how much you need?" And they go, how much you give me?" Because they don't have any idea how much they actually need, right? Because there's no one really advising them on that. So these are things that I teach at the banking school, is about how much a company needs to keep up with sales. If I'm going to keep up with my sales volume, I'm going to have to buy inventory, or I'm going to have to make payroll while I'm waiting for money to come in. And it produces this chart based on how long inventory sits on the, if we're using an inventory-based company, how long inventory sits on the shelf, and then how long it takes you to get paid. At the same time, you're paying your bills. So you have to cover this cash gap. You have to keep paying your payroll or keep paying, for inventory during this time that you've already paid your bills and you're waiting to get paid, right? So your working capital is designed to cover that. So this needs to be enough. If your business has ever felt clunky, like, "Oh, I'm always waiting for money to come in before I can do something else," is generally that you don't have enough. And let me show you what that looks like. So here, if I move these sliders to the left, it's making it worse. If I move it to the right, it's making it better. So let's just say I have too much inventory. You see what happens? It's an interactive thing. And all of a sudden I've got too much inventory and I have a gap. Now I'm short $102,000, right? There's a gap that I have to cover. So if I was going to go in and ask for a line of credit, it'd probably be $100,000 or $200,000 to cover that gap. And I would also reduce inventory. When I make it better, I can actually solve the problem by reducing the inventory, right? Or if I collected faster, right, it makes it better. If I collected slower, it makes it worse, right? So you can kind of point to the things that are your client don't normally see. And of course, you can simulate, what if I got a line of credit to help with this? Or what if I put more cash in? So what we're trying to do is solve the cash flow problem, the thing that makes it feel clunky, like you don't have enough money, right? You're always waiting. That's what the fast money formula is about, is do I have enough money to cover the gap? So and just to show you what the others look like here's a service company. It's about payroll. A project company is all about, if you collect deposits, those type of things. It's about work in process and how much money you need to kind of keep up with payroll or buy materials. And it counts for the deposits you come in on the liability. And I kind of explain all that because it's a little bit more different than the ones that are in the course. So I give you all the information here of what that's saying. And then a hybrid is kind of a whole bunch of things. Like I've got a payroll gap, I've got inventory, and what is it covering? So that's what that's for. So that's the fast money formula is one of the tools that we have. The other thing that people get kind of excited about is this debt optimizer. So remember off the balance sheet, I take the debt instruments, but then it doesn't give me things like pay dates or the type of loan, or it doesn't give me the interest rate or how much it was. So you come here and you can take a whole debt schedule and just paste it in there and it's going to sort it out for you. Or you can just edit and just put in things. Hey, this is a vehicle loan, and it's just setting you up to analyze it. So if you're in an advisory position or maybe even a banking position where you want to see how much debt they have already and maybe if they should do it, and if it's a high kind of a high risk type of loan, alternative lenders, payday loans, cash advances, it accounts for those type of things. And the reason that's important is that I do the analysis saying, hey, look, it looks like you're paying a little bit too much based on what's out there today. So I can actually look through here and do a debt breakdown of what it should be, right? So what it should be. So if I go to the new feature I've just put in, it's kind of cool that you guys might like. I will go over here to the debt one. Same company. It's just a new feature I just put in. That's really cool. And I haven't pushed it out to the app yet. There we go. Open the demo. Any questions so far on what I'm showing you? Debt optimizer. Doesn't like that I'm not signed in. So what happens when I switch to the test environment? Oh, what I'm trying to show you is how I've built a product that recommends your actual steps that you should do next. Of course, now it's not going to open up for me. All right. Let me try something here. All right, back to debt. So this is a company with a lot of debt. They have a lot of debt problems. So I'm going to show you what it does in this case, right? So they've got 30 different products that they're paying on currently. And once we're getting to a point where we are overpaying in interest, this is saying, hey, you're paying about $8,000 more a month than you need to on interest cost. So that's about $100,000 a year. If I go to show smart recommendations and lender matches, it's going to analyze the complete debt that we have. And it's going to say, these are the ones that you should refinance. So it goes up to the actual debt instruments that you put in. These need to be refinanced. These should be consolidated, right? It helps give you a plan on what to do next. And I can simulate what happens if I do that. I can ask what if questions to AI. Hey, what if we pay this off? Or what if I model this? Or I can model consolidation or refinancing. I can go match, right? So it'll analyze my portfolio and go out into the marketplace and see who has advertised rates are better than what I have today. I can do that. And Marissa said that'd be something that would be good for a bank like that to be in here to do that. It will also help you set up a negotiation strategy, right? So as a negotiation strategy, maybe I want to look at this U.S. bank finance one, and I want to renegotiate or negotiate a payment relief, and it will create a script for me to follow to be able to talk to my banker in a way that makes sense for everybody. So once it generates a script, all you got to do is follow it. So right now, it always runs slower on Zoom for some reason when I'm sharing the video. Oh, there it is. So say, hey, listen, here's the key talking points that you need to be able to have. Here's how you make the request to the bank. You know, here's if they have objections, here's some ways to talk to them. And here's an email version if you want to start the conversation in email. So what I'm trying to do is help people have a better relationship with their bank, right? And understand, you know, some of the things that the bank is, you know, has to think about or consider during, you know, the relationship with the loan. And that's taking way too long. But it's going to produce a list of advertised rates that are on the market for products that are similar, vehicle loans, for lines of credit, those type of things. And right now I've got to look into that. That's embarrassing. That's why you don't do a live demo. Okay, so some people say, how do I know what tool to use? And I've talked a lot about these, burning issues, like all 6 of those. So if I'm on my path, it tells you the 6 burning issues that generally a business has, right? Cash flow, profitability, debt. If I'm listening and I kind of know, what it is, like the future was the problem with Scott, I can just click on one of these and it opens up a playbook, right? Saying, here's the recommended tools that you should use with this client. And here's some other ones that we're going to be using through the engagement, right? So it actually shows you which ones to use. If I want to change the focus, maybe we solve that, but I'm listening and I can't figure it out. I can start a guided conversation where I can actually record or type in what they're saying to me, right? It uses clear the noise. Maybe I want to show the recorder. It will actually, do here. Let's see if this works. Start recording, and recording failed, right? So, but I can record, what's happening in my conversation, or just type it in, like going, I got an offer to buy my company. I think is what Scott said. Once you do that, AI is going to go through and start to give you the next playbook, right? Hey, this is a future problem. So it's going to actually identify using the words of the customer so you can have a conversation about what to do next. So that's how you have your guided conversation, your path. And that reminds me, I gotta go look at that. Now, here's how I get people to take action. When I'm using one of these tools, we'll call it mining your business for hidden cash. It's the same one that's on the first, but I can generate action items, right? An action plan from this. I can generate action items, and the action items then get stored, or I can create an action item up top. They get stored on an action board, a to-do list, right? So you put in the name, what do you think it's going to do? Because this will actually show the impact of this action. It connects it to an action that you're going to take to your financial statements. So from there, I can back out and show people their actions. On the action board, I don't want to use this one because there's no actions in Utah Steel. And I go back to where I have it pre-populated. But on the action board, I've got a couple different views because some people like it different ways. One is a Kanban type style board that you can just drag and drop. Hey, this is in progress. This is completed. This is stuff that the client does. When they log in, they can access things like this, and you can see it as well. And it tells you what you're working on and what's the impact of doing this. You also got a table view, or you've got an impact results view, right? This is where once you complete the action, it starts to monitor the financial results past that action, right? When you did that, here's what happened. And in this case, every time we take an action, we get about $34,000. This is how I keep people moving so they don't get stuck, because they know there's a financial impact to everything I'm asking them to do. And they're only working with me because they want more money. They want more cash in their pocket. So it gives me a way to celebrate with them, to keep track of wins, to motivate them. Remember when we did this? What happened? We got more money. Let's do that again. So I can keep people, involved with staying engaged and improving their business. All right. There's also an activity feed. Think about this like a private social media kind of interaction or text message interaction between you and your clients. This one's just because we're on a client page. It has just that client, and I can put pictures in here, like, hey, put some pictures of the warehouse in there so I can look at it. So I don't got to drive over there, right? So I can kind of help and see what you're looking at. So you can kind of put things in. It's got secure document storage as well, where you can upload things back and forth. Or on your activity feed, it is a complete list of all your clients. Everybody that's came in here, but it's a private feed between you and them. It doesn't have all the noise of social media. It's just a way for you to talk back and forth. And then lastly, I want to think about some other things that I've done in here. From the action side, I've got this 30, 60, 90-day planner, because some people get overwhelmed. If I get too many things on my to-do list, I'm saying, hey, don't worry about it. Here's the plan I want you to follow, right? Let's cut down what you need to get done between now and next time. and I'll say low capacity, and it studies all of the actions and creates a score for them and tells you what's going to have the biggest impact next. Where should you focus your work? So again, all these things that you give them as a to-do, it sets a priority list and says the next month do these two, and then we're going to tackle these in order. So it helps you prioritize all of the things that you've asked a client to take care of. And the last thing is that, remember I told you I didn't want you to be stuck. And sometimes people will go, well, I've got a metric that I follow called revenue per cattle head, right? Or per cow. Well, that's not in any software that you ever see, right? That's just not a thing that most software companies take care of. Well, I built this operations dashboard specifically for those type of questions. Things where there's no dates or there's no, you create your own value. Like I want to create a custom value. I want to calculate how many Facebook likes do I get for advertising on Facebook. I can connect the data, the financial data that I put in to the custom data that I just add, right? Facebook likes, such as here's Facebook likes or number of cow head or number of salespeople. Anything that you think is not in any other software that you keep track of on a spreadsheet, you create your own custom calculation for that. And it creates a dashboard of all these custom calculations. So if I go to add a metric and I want to just name it, I can name it whatever I want to. How do I want the result? How do I want it? Do I want a chart to go with it? Is there a target goal that I'm trying to measure against? And then I just type it in. Like if I want to do sales as one of my things, it's going to look at all the data that you've put in and go, oh, we do have sales here. Now I can do that against, I can average, sum, min, max, plus, minus. I mean, all the things you do on a calculator. So I'm just going to say, I'm going to divide that by trucks. How many trucks we have? Well, I don't have the number of trucks in here. So I can create a custom value trucks, and we have 5 trucks. And as of today, just create it. Now, you see what it did? I did sales divided by the number of trucks that I have, and it's $837,000 per truck is what it generates, right? So that would be my revenue thing that I've done. And it will create and add this, to our custom values as well. If I would have saved that, it would add it as number of trucks as another one of these custom values that we've got. So this is the one thing I think differentiates me. I call it the super calculator as a nickname, but it goes into any type of calculation you can think of with the data it already has, and you can add your own custom data. And if I want to update this, I just update it. I go edit. Oh, as of today, it's not 10,000. As of today, it's a different number, right? And it keeps track of the history of all the changes that you make. And you can just update how many we've got today. That's how you do that. So other tools that I have in there, process optimization, right? Some people have a process problem where I can just put in the process, the steps that go through there and analyze the steps. So if I create it, there's templates in here already, whereas here's the standard steps that people do in these processes. We're going to start one from scratch. And in the process, I can view the analysis, right, of what this looks like. I've put in all my steps. It tells me how long it takes, if they're concurrent, if they're bottlenecked. It will analyze that and give me results and give me, this one doesn't have a lot of bottlenecks, but let's run the AI analysis. It will give me recommendations on how to improve my process. You just type down, okay, what do you do next? What do you do next? What do you want to do next? And once you do that, it identifies, hey, it's complete. We can change this process and save you 3 days, right? So that's, again, it's going to tell you right here's your bottleneck, right? This shouldn't take this long. So let's change the process, and it'll give you examples on how to do it. Recommended actions, there's 6 of them available, and it will actually give you the steps to improving that process. This is one of the cool things I think nobody has, is the ability to analyze a process, because the process is generally connected to a financial target, right? Maybe that's the reason why we're not collecting as fast. It's something that gets stopped somewhere in the process. I'll go back out to there. Any questions while we're kind of coming up at the end of the hour? I've showed you a ton of things so far. I've showed you an absolute ton. Carol, Marissa, Scott, anything you were hoping to see that you didn't?
No, I'm good. Thank you. Thank you, Mike.
Okay. And then if you ever get stuck, right? If you ever get stuck, there's AI agents that are here. I just come down to here, and I have a specific agent, and looking at the financial statements, you can use one of these, like Cash Flow Advisor. And how can we free up $50,000 in working capital, right? You do that, and it's going to create your plan for you, right? Based on that specific client. So it's going to go read that client's, analyze it, and produce your report. So there it is. See how it's reading the company, and it reads the company based on the number. I don't know what company it is. I just know it's a number, right? So it's going to look there. It's a slight discrepancy found in the data. So in the test data, that figures. But it's going to keep trying and come up with a plan for us. Questions, comments, concerns, moans, groans, gripes, complaints, otherwise. Now, Marissa, you're probably more interested in the training part. This was all on the app. But for banks and CRA credit and those type of things, I've got seminars where I just teach the math, and it has nothing to do with the software. But it gets people, the basic knowledge that they need to be able to become better bankable clients. I know the National Bank of Arizona had an increase in their loan portfolio by about 400% because we were doing one seminar a year for about 4 years straight. And I'm actually going out there next month. So,
Okay, cool.
yep.
Yeah.
Super cool. Anything else? Scott?
No, this is great. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sure the more you see it, the more it kind of, starts to make sense.
For sure.
But it's just knowing that there's a tool for most every problem that you have. So I appreciate y'all. Thank you very much. And, we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Mike. We'll
Bye
be
now.
in touch.
Have a good weekend.
You too.
You finally found the tool that makes the financials easy to explain. The dashboard is clean. It looks solid. This is the meeting you walked into feeling ready. Then comes the question, how does the loan actually get paid down? That's the moment you realize your new dashboard was almost helpful,